The film opens during World War II and we meet Jojo, a patriotic German boy who loves his country. He prepares for the day and we see Adolf Hitler, who is his imaginary friend. Hitler is his biggest cheerleader and they hype each other up. Then Jojo heads outside. At a Hitler youth training camp, he engages in many different training exercises and burns books in a large fire. At night, he and his friend Yorkie talk about their dreams to be in Hitler's guard. One day, some older boys try to test Jojo's willingness to kill by commanding him to kill a rabbit. Everyone chants for him to do it, but he is unable to. The boys call him a coward and nickname him Jojo Rabbit as he runs away. As he cries in the woods, the imaginary Hitler cheers him up and says they used to doubt him too. He also says bunnies have lots of good qualities, so it's fine he didn't kill it. Finally, he tells him to go back and prove them all wrong. They sprint through the woods together and find the group practicing throwing grenades. Jojo grabs one and bravely throws it to the woods, but it hits a tree and blows up right in front of him. He spends some time in the hospital, then is sent back home with a giant scar and a limp. His mom, Rosie, consoles him and tells him he will heal. She then takes him to Klesendorf's office, who is the leader of the youth camp. Since Jojo can't participate in the physical activities, he spends his time putting up propaganda posters and delivering mail. After his work, he searches for his mother at home but hears something upstairs. He investigates and finds a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside he discovers a young girl which frightens him. Jojo finds out she is a Jew named Elsa Kor who is being hidden by his mother. He wants to call to report her, but she warns him that his mother would be killed if he does. Elsa then threatens to hurt Jojo if he tells his mom he knows about her. When she goes back to hiding, Jojo consults with Hitler for advice. Hitler wants to burn down the house, but Jojo decides he will negotiate with the girl. He approaches the secret wall with a big shield and a kitchen knife. However, Elsa appears behind him and takes his knife and he is sent running away. Jojo speaks with Hitler again, and he tells him to make her feel safe so she'll drop her guard and he can gain control. That night his mother gets home and he says he heard noises upstairs, but Rosie says it's just rats. He watches her suspiciously but doesn't admit he knows the truth. Later, Rosie tells Elsa to be more quiet because she thinks Jojo would expose her if she is discovered. She also tries to keep Elsa's spirits up by saying it will be over soon. The next day, Jojo decides to let Elsa stay, but he has some conditions. She will tell him everything about the Jewish race so he can write it in a book to help the Nazis. Elsa discusses this and also reveals that she was friends with Jojo's sister before she died, which is why his mother is hiding her. The two talk for a bit, but it ends with Jojo being thrown by Elsa to prove he is not stronger than her. At dinner, Jojo accuses his mother of hating her country and supporting the Allies. He yells saying Germany will destroy all their enemies and crush them into dust. Jojo notices his mom isn't eating, so he eats her meal so it can't be fed to Elsa, which secretly frustrates her. Days pass and Jojo continues to interview Elsa for information about Jewish people. She reveals she has a boyfriend and he is going to rescue her when the war is over. This gives Jojo an idea and he creates a fake letter from the boyfriend. He reads it to her and pretends that the boyfriend does not want to be with her anymore. Elsa becomes visibly saddened by this, and Jojo begins to feel bad. So, he pretends to find a second letter which reveals the boyfriend changed his mind and wants to get married. More days pass and Jojo's mother becomes increasingly happy as she believes the war is coming to an end. Jojo also begins to fight with Hitler, who thinks he is becoming too close to Elsa. Hitler warns him to not let her control his brain no matter what. One day Jojo is out collecting medals for the war efforts when he sees his mother sneaking around in the street. He discovers she is secretly leaving out signs that say Free Germany. And to stop the war, Jojo and Elsa begin to spend more time together, and Elsa strongly insists he is not an actual Nazi. Jojo lets her use the bathroom to freshen up, and he gets butterflies in his stomach while watching. The two are in the kitchen together when suddenly they get a knock on the door. Elsa quickly runs to hide and Jojo opens the door as members of the Gestapo enter the home. They begin to search through the entire house and Commander Klesendorf also arrives on the scene. The Gestapo begins to question Jojo about his mother and whether she has been spending much time at home lately. They also ask where his missing knife is, and suddenly Elsa comes out saying it is here. She then pretends to be Jojo's sister who passed away. They believe her, but Klesendorf looks at Jojo suspiciously because he may know the truth. The Gestapo then asks to see Elsa's paper, and she successfully shows them to the commander. He quizzes her on her birthday, but she gets the date wrong. Jojo looks worried, but the commander says correct, and puts the papers away to help the kids. They think they are safe, but the Gestapo finds the book that Jojo is writing about Jews, and Elsa claims it is her own. However, Jojo already told Commander Klesendorf about this, so it solidifies the fact that he knows Elsa is not his actual sister. When all the men leave, the two sit worried together. They realize the friendly commander was helping them hide, but Elsa figures it won't be long till they figure out the truth. Jojo then speaks with Hitler and tells him Elsa does not seem like a bad person. This greatly angers Hitler, who scolds him for not being a true German patriot and tells him to get his priorities together. Later, Jojo walks through the streets sadly and finds a butterfly. He happily follows it for a bit, but when he looks up he discovers that his mother has been hung in the streets for her crimes against the Nazi regime. He is shocked and cries, and stands in the street hugging her for a long time. He eventually goes back home and approaches Elsa while holding a knife. Jojo lightly stabs her but she says nothing and he falls to the ground and sobs. That night the two console each other, and Elsa reveals that Rosie has been working with her friends against the German government. She also states Jojo's father is fighting against the Nazis from afar, which shocks him. Jojo realizes he is the real enemy in the war and now he is left with nothing. Elsa says she has also lost her parents as they were sent to the gas chambers. She just wants the war to be over so she can be free and dance outside. Days pass and it becomes clear that Germany is going to lose the war. One day there is bombing in the town and Yorkie tells Jojo that Hitler killed himself and the Allies are closing in. Yorkie also says Hitler was doing some really bad things and they aren't sure if they chose the right side of the war. Fighting breaks out in the town and they start handing out guns and uniforms to the children. As bombs go off, Jojo looks around and sees people dying and children being injured. He runs off and hides until the fighting ceases. When he comes out, the Allied forces have defeated the Nazis and raised the American flag. They round up all the Nazis and Jojo is thrown in with them because of his uniform coat. They begin to be executed one by one and Jojo sits with Commander Klesendorf. He tells him he is sorry about Rosie and she was actually a great person. Jojo breaks down in tears and hugs the commander. Finally, the commander tells him to go and take care of Elsa. Suddenly, he stands up and pushes Jojo to the ground and calls him a dirty Jew. Soldiers break them up and Klesendorf spits on Jojo pretending he is not a Nazi. Jojo cries as he is dragged away and realizes the commander has just saved his life. The American tells him to go home and Klesendorf is executed for his actions. Jojo races home and Elsa asks if it is safe to come outside. Jojo lies saying Germany has won the war and she has to stay inside because he is worried she will leave her. He sees how sad Elsa is and he creates a fake letter from her boyfriend saying he has devised a plan for her to escape. Elsa then reveals that her boyfriend had actually been dead all this time and passed away last year. She thanks Jojo for being so good to her all this time. Finally, Jojo admits that he loves her, and Elsa says she loves him too as a younger brother. Before leaving, Jojo has one last encounter with the imaginary Hitler who is now disheveled with a wound in his head. He tries to convince him that Elsa is gonna leave him, but Jojo kicks Hitler out of the window, finally rejecting him for good. As the movie comes to a close, Jojo and Elsa walk outside together and are unsure what to do. They stare at each other for a bit, then they begin to dance and the film comes to an end.